Today, I'm sharing some of my favorite frozen meal hacks that's great for meal prepping or those last minute dinner ideas. Since becoming a mom of two, I've been able to integrate fresh ingredients with clean, high quality frozen items that make cooking healthy meals for my family easy. Cooking really isn't that hard. It just takes a little creativity to keep everyone happy. This is Cece, Rolly, Nate's behind the camera, and I'm Zhang. We live in LA and I love sharing my approachable family meal ideas with you. We're all busy people, so if I can whip it up for my piggy family quickly, so can you. Whatever you make though, just be sure to mix, mix, mix. Frozen fruits are a go-to for any smoothie, but I'm gonna show you how I prep them ahead with some added nutrients, so making a healthy breakfast smoothie is as fast and efficient as possible. So for my smoothies, I actually love adding this right here, broccoli, cauliflower, and carrots, which isn't really traditional, but for the broccoli and cauliflower, in my opinion, you can't really taste them at all. Another one that I really like to add too is frozen butternut squash, but I forgot to get it, so that's okay. But what I like to do is have these reusable bags ready, and I just stuff them ahead of time with my smoothie material. So I'm gonna show you guys what I like to do. For the fruits and veggies, I'll use frozen, but for stuff like kale, spinach, leafy greens, I like to use fresh as well as the bananas, just because I feel like you get a better bang for your buck when you buy it fresh. I got a whole big bag from Costco for $5, and you really can't beat that in the frozen aisle. In each bag, I'm gonna add a scoop of frozen fruit, a scoop of frozen veggies, and I'm making this individual size, so if you need to make more, feel free to add more or less. And then I'm actually just gonna add a handful of the leafy greens in here, just so I save time in the morning. That's like one less step you have to do. I'm gonna seal it up and pop it into my freezer for, I actually use this every week, so it lasts me 1 week, but this will last you up to a month. One down, 3 more to go. I should also mention that for the frozen fruits, I just got like a tropical blend, but you can totally use whatever blend you have. They often come with a berry blend, or lately I've been seeing a lot of dragon fruit blends, which I'm really intrigued by, and I definitely want to try that next. All right, so to start making our smoothie, I like adding our non-frozen items first. So I'm gonna add my banana, and this just helps the blender to move a little bit easier. Then I'll add my added nutrients. I'm using chia seeds and some collagen because after pregnancy, your girl is losing a lot of hair. And I need that bouncy skin back. Now I'm gonna add my frozen vegetables, then my frozen fruits, and now I'm gonna add a splash of milk. I'm using oat milk here, and what I like to do is just always eyeball halfway to where the ingredients end. That looks good. And finally, our leafy greens. All right, now let's give it a whirl. All right, here's our smoothie. I love how it's packed with so many vegetables in here. The smoothie has just the right amount of sweetness, and you can't really taste the cauliflower or the broccoli at all. And I love that my 2-year-old can drink this without a problem. She's none the wiser. The next frozen meal hack is using this frozen garlic naan to use as a base for our flatbread pizzas. This is one of my freezer staples as they're already portioned off for individual size, and the toppings can be easily customizable to use whatever I have left over in the fridge. I'm gonna share 3 of our favorites at the moment, and the best thing of all is that they only use about 4 ingredients each. So frozen naans are widely available at grocery stores these days. I got this one from Trader Joe's, and it's already portioned off and seasoned for extra flavor. So the first one is a classic BBQ Chicken Pizza. I'll start with my favorite barbecue sauce and just spread a light layer at the bottom. I don't like spreading too much sauce on my pizza, just because then it drowns all the flavors for the rest of the toppings. Then I'll sprinkle a little bit of mozzarella cheese, some already cooked chicken breast. I usually already have chicken breast cooked and stored away in the fridge so that I can throw on top of my salads, pastas, and in this case, pizza. Some red onions thinly sliced, and we are gonna set this aside while I make the other ones. This next one is a kale spinach artichoke dip pizza. I actually bought this giant tub of spinach artichoke dip and have been struggling to finish the whole thing. So I've been incorporating it into different recipes and this one is perfect. So I'm gonna spread a thin layer of the spinach artichoke dip onto the frozen naan, and then I'll take my shredded lacinato kale or dino kale, sprinkle it on top. I'll sprinkle some mozzarella cheese, and finally I'll top it with some marinated artichoke hearts. Marinated artichoke hearts tends to be a little bit intense and chewy, so I'm just kind of breaking them up a little bit and just spreading them all over like that. Our third flatbread pizza is as simple as it gets, and it's my current favorite. And I'm gonna start with this limon Alfredo sauce that I recently picked up at Trader Joe's. It's so good and lemony, it's a perfect base. Just spread a thin layer. Then I'll lay out some prosciutto on top, sprinkle a little bit of mozzarella cheese, and then we have some fresh arugula that I will top once it comes out of the oven. We've got all three of our non-flatbread pizzas, and now I'm just gonna pop it into the oven at 375 degrees for about 12 to 15 minutes until they're nice and golden brown. Yes. It looks so good. The cheese is perfectly melted and it smells incredible. For the barbecue chicken pizza, I'm just gonna add a little bit of chopped cilantro to add some color. And then, like I mentioned earlier, the arugula is gonna go on top of the prosciutto pizza, just a tiny little handful. And then what I like to do is drizzle it with some olive oil and then some shaved Parmesan. This flatbread pizza really reminds me of flatbread pizzas you can get at a happy hour, at a wine bar. It would be perfect for a party or just with a glass of wine for dinner. I can really taste the citrus, the limone from the Alfredo sauce, and it really brightens everything up. Of course, there was a prosciutto in my bite, and the arugula just added a little bit of freshness. There's nothing that warms your soul quite like a bowl of soup, except this time I'm using frozen pot stickers and mushrooms as a hack to make this hearty miso dumpling vegetable soup. So I'm gonna start off by showing you the two frozen items that I'm gonna use. This chicken gyoza pot stickers, which I literally always have at least 2 of these bags in the freezer. They are a complete lifesaver, whether you decide to steam, pan fry, or in this case, throw into a soup. And then frozen mushrooms are also a staple for me because number one, I can never finish a pack of fresh mushrooms, and this one is an assorted variety that has every type, and I can just use as much or as little as I want without worrying about it spoiling. So first in my pot, I'm gonna add some miso ginger broth that I found at Trader Joe's. You can definitely use just plain chicken broth if you'd like, but I thought this would add a little bit more flavor to our soup. Let it come to a boil, and then I'm gonna add our pot stickers. Like always, if you guys want the recipes to any of the dishes in this video, I will have them listed with photos on my blog at zonglewis.com, so be sure to check out the link in the description box. Then some fresh broccoli, our mushrooms, and right before I turn off the heat, I'm gonna add 1 baby bok choy that I've already chopped, along with some soy sauce and sesame oil. Turn off the heat and our soup is ready to serve. I just want the broccoli to maintain a crunch still, the pot stickers to be cooked through, and just wilt the baby bok choy slightly. The ginger miso broth gave it a very delicate, light flavor, and the pot stickers here, well, it speaks for itself. It's so hearty and filling, along with the fresh and frozen vegetables. You really can't tell that the mushrooms were frozen at all. They just have so much flavor, and the crunch from the broccoli is still there. This next one is so simple and easy, it can be made all in one go. I'm roasting salmon and veggies all on one sheet pan. It checks all the boxes and it can be made in minutes. For this frozen meal hack, I'm gonna be using these frozen salmon fillets that were sustainably farmed, along with these country potatoes with green beans and wild mushrooms that's already seasoned and done. So I've already thawed 3 of our salmon fillets and they're ready to go. To season them, I'm gonna make a maple mustard glaze that's gonna bake beautifully. So in a bowl, I'm gonna start by adding my mustard. I like using coarse mustard here, but if you don't like the texture, you can always substitute for Dijon mustard. Maple syrup, some chili powder to give it a smoky flavor, freshly minced garlic, a pinch of salt, and a drizzle of olive oil. Now I'll just give it a mix. First, I'm starting with the baking sheet lined with parchment paper. Now, do you guys ever wonder why they don't make the parchment paper long enough to actually cover the sides of the baking sheet? It always bothers me. But anyways, now I'm gonna pour in our country potatoes. If you guys can't find country potatoes already seasoned, each store kind of has their own version of like a frozen potato side dish, so just use whatever you like. I'll pour it out onto the sheet pan, spread it out, leaving a big space in the middle for the salmon. And finally, I'll just spoon the glaze on top of our salmon. And then depending on the size of your salmon fillet, since these are rather small, I'm gonna bake it at 400 degrees for about 10 minutes. If they're a little bigger, feel free to bake them longer, up to 14 minutes. You don't want to overcook your salmon. Our salmon and potatoes have finished roasting. They are beautiful and they smell so good. So I'm gonna start plating everything. I like to add a bed of greens at the bottom just to amp up the fresh flavors in there and get some additional nutrients. Make it look kind of fancy. Now I'll scoop our potatoes right on top. I like how the bottoms are nice and crispy. Aside from the potatoes, make sure you get some mushrooms and green beans in there. And then we'll top it with our fillet of salmon and finish it off with a squeeze of lemon juice. This was made out of almost everything frozen. Can you guys believe it? It smells incredible, like I said, so I'm gonna dig in. Perfectly cooked salmon. The salmon is so buttery and tender, like I said, cooked to perfection. The glaze on top has that smokiness from the chili powder with the tang from the lemon juice and the mustard and sweetness from the maple. It's very balanced. And then the mushrooms and potatoes, well, let me just say that I've never met a potato I did not like. It's very well seasoned and complements this salmon so well. I hope you guys enjoyed these meal hacks using frozen ingredients. To be honest, frozen ingredients these days are so high quality if you know where to look for them, and they're really cheap. They allow you to eat healthy and they're good. Comment below and let me know what frozen items you tend to gravitate towards and what you use during your weekly meal planning. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to tag me on Instagram at Honeysuckle if you guys end up creating any of these dishes. Subscribe to my channel for more recipe ideas, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!